Donbrothers episode 29, Mourning and Murasame. This episode was quite the interesting episode. This episode was the big plot episode where a lot of shit went down. Now things are kicking into high gear into Donbrothers as the plot is chugging along, and I gotta say, there's a lot to talk about with this episode because it's setting up a lot. It's giving characters some character development, but not only that, we're also getting some interesting lore about Murasame. That being, if you grab the sword, which was kind of the highlight of this episode, if you grab this sword, you go berserk and start attacking people. And we kind of saw that in this episode where several characters grabbed the sword and they just went into berserker mode and started attacking everyone and everything in sight. We saw Inazuka use it, we saw Sononi use it, we saw a lot of different characters use the blade. But there's one character that was able to use the blade and wasn't affected by it. And we'll talk about that later because I feel like that reveal, although it was kind of cool and it was played up for a serious moment and for laughs, I did feel like the plot twist that came before that kind of ruined that moment because I felt like they were setting up something big with that moment that was going to play into next week's episode or a storyline moving forward. But no, that thing got resolved right away. So the whole concept of this episode is Momotaro going to a ritual or a funeral for Sononi, who is dead. Or at least that's what we think at the end of the episode. But he's basically taken to the brain people dimension where he's treated like a king, he's fed food, he's bathed and stuff like that. But what's really interesting about the people that were sort of pampering up Momotaro is a lot of those characters looked exactly like Momotaro's people that carry him out, but instead of white, they're wearing nothing but black. So I do like that interesting color contrast they use, where they're the bad guys, so they're wearing black outfits and black robes and stuff like that. That's really cool. That's a nice little touch to notice upon. But we also meet the Noto Council, which are very mysterious amongst themselves, and I feel like we'll learn about them later down the line. But what they plan to do is kind of weird, but it does make sense with what happened at the end of the episode. At least I think. But this episode we also got Murasame getting some development where Murasame talked to Feral Jiro and they sort of had this back and forth where we kind of learnt a little bit about Jiro, but we also learnt about Murasame, who was trying to find their purpose in life because they're kind of getting tired of fighting. So we kind of see that Murasame wants to sort of be their own person, but we also learn that Murasame sort of awakened earlier and hadn't fully matured, so they're kind of like a little kid going into the world. But there's a lot of other stuff to talk about with this episode, and the ritual that happened near the end of the episode where you get that fake out and you think that Sononi's alive in the suit, and then you find out it's not, it's just a shallow puppet, and Momotaro delivers the finishing blow on the suit, and then his powers get sucked away, and you're thinking, oh shit, Momotaro's not going to have his powers for the next couple of episodes. No, he gets them back when he grabs the Murasame sword, which we'll talk about later in this episode as well. But it seems like whatever they did by stealing his powers, they coated Sononi in this goop that is reviving him, but he's got glowing red eyes, so whatever that means, that can't be good. But yeah, we're sort of setting up the next stage because next week is episode 30, so we've got roughly about probably like 20 or 18 episodes left of Donbrothers to go. So they're sort of setting up like the final arc or getting towards the end to sort of the last couple of arcs we'll have in the show, but we'll probably talk about them in a later date. So the whole Murasame looking for purpose is an interesting concept because I do wonder if this character is going to join the good guys or be that anti-hero that we've seen Murasame be in the more recent episodes. But how the sword can corrupt people and turn them into that berserker state was really cool to see. but it's kind of nullified by Sonza at the end of the episode in a silly way, where he grabs the manga and sort of wraps it around the blade and seals away the berserker presence that sword has. So now that's back to normal for now, which was really cool to see at the end of the episode, but it's interesting to see that sword is nullified as well. But what we also got to see in this episode was Inuzuka fighting Natsumi, which was really cool as well. That was really cool to see as well. Like, that fight scene where Inuzuka had the blade in his hand and he versed his, like, lover. That fight scene was really, really cool to see. I love that scene where Inuzuka is, like, chopping up all the little origami cranes and stuff like that. That was cool to see. And how, when he held that Murasame sword, he was able to hold his own in the battle. And that was really cool to see as well. But seeing anyone go berserk in that form was really cool to see. And they sort of passed around like a hot potato where everyone went into a feral state and started attacking each other. That was really cool to see as well. But I've also got to talk about the council, because we finally get to see them in this episode. And like I said at the start of the review, they're very mysterious and they're plotting their own thing in the darkness, and we barely get to see their face because they're wearing these masks, so we kind of know who they are, but we don't know what they look like, but that doesn't really bother me. But I love Momotaro's whole reason to visit the funeral for Sononi, and that's because when he gets summoned to the council, they sort of put the invitation in his sandwich, and it made him lose his appetite. So he's like, you guys are going to eat this sandwich, and you see the council lifting up their masks and eating it, and they're sort of doing these overly comedic, like, chewing sounds and savory sounds, which was kind of funny to have these, like, dead-ass serious characters sort of making these dumb noises while they ate. But the whole like, Noto world was really cool to see as well. And then the twist at the end, where you think Momotaro loses his powers, but he gets them back at the end of the episode. My main gripe, my main nitpick with that episode, because I feel like they could have made that the big cliffhanger, but seeing how he got his powers at the end of the episode, it is what it is. I mean, they had to defeat the monster and do the Megazord combination at the end of the day, but overall, it was still a really great episode, and I can't wait to see where the show is going to go next, because the episode 30 preview looks like we're going to get some more lore between the characters if you watch the episode preview. But anyway, guys, what did you think of Donbrothers episode 29? Love it? Hate it? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. With that said, I'm going to bring this video to a close. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you guys later. Peace out, take care, bye.